Hello, this is Thomas J. Linneman, author of Social Statistics, Managing Data, Conducting Analyses, Presenting Results. This is the SPSS demonstration for Chapter 2 on how to create tables. We're going to go over how to create a couple of kinds of tables, the first one being a simple frequency distribution. For that, we go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, Frequencies, and this is about as simple as it gets. All we need to do is move our variable or variables of interest off of the shelf on the left into the shelf on the right. The variable we're going to use is Newsweek, and we click OK. It really doesn't get any more simple than that. So here we go. We see that the first box just tells us how many valid missing cases we have. Pretty useless because we have that same information down here. However, notice it says statistics here. If we had asked SPSS to give us descriptive statistics, that is where it would put it. So we see we have all the frequencies here in the total. We also have percent and valid percent. Percent includes the missing cases in its calculations. Valid percent does not include the missing cases. Notice, because we have over 4,000 cases and only 4 missing cases, these are all the same except for this one right here. So typically we're going to use the valid percent. And then you also have the column for cumulative percent. So that is how to do a frequency distribution. The other kind of table I want to go over is a crosstab. So for that, we go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, Crosstabs. And you see that this box is a little more complicated, but still pretty straightforward. Here we have to know what our independent and dependent variable is, because that determines where we put the variables. Here we're going to look at, does race affect attitudes toward the death penalty? So death penalty is our dependent variable, and that goes in the rows. For the race variable, we're going to use one of the recoded race variables, and that's just using whites and blacks. So XY race, WB. And that, because it's the independent variable, goes in the columns box. We then, very important, we then go into the cells room, and this is where we ask for the percentages. It is very important that your crosstab have percentages. And notice it has 3 different kinds of percentages. We really only want the column percentages, because that is what tells us the story of what's going on in the crosstab, as you'll see in a second. So we click Continue, and for now that's everything, and we're going to click OK, and it runs our crosstab for us. As we see, because we put percentages in the columns, we can easily see there's a very clear relationship here where more whites are favoring strongly the death penalty, whereas more of the black respondents are in the oppose and oppose strongly categories compared to the whites. Now, I typically like to clean this up a little bit. I think it's obvious what the percentages stand for, so I am going to go in here and I'm going to delete those, and that just cleans it up. Let me shrink that a little bit. There we go. Just cleans that up a little bit. So we can clearly see now that whites and blacks differ on this attitude. Now, let's say you wanted to engage in that process called elaboration. In order to do that, I'm not going to run one here, but I just want to show you how you would do that. You would go back into your crosstabs box, and you would put your elaboration variable right here in this layers box. And so that is, if you wanted to elaborate your crosstab, that is where that would be. And that is the end of this SPSS demonstration.